Hey everybody, this is Mr. Movie Buff 5000, and this is my review of the movie Unstoppable. Unstoppable, it's directed by Tony Scott, who's directed such movies as Top Gun, Man on Fire. His last one before this was the Taking a Pelham 123 with Denzel Washington and John Travolta, and Crimson Tide, Deja Vu, and his brother is Ridley Scott, director of Gladiator, who works a lot with Russell Crowe. So, Unstoppable stars Denzel Washington, who, in my opinion, is one of the greatest actors around today, who is a 28-year veteran engineer named Frank Barnes, and for the day he has to work with a rookie who's about 4 months out of training, named Will Coulson, who's training to be a conductor. And he's played by Chris Pine, who you may remember from Star Trek. He played young Captain Kirk. So, they get along a bit, but there is a bit of arguments within them. Like, Chris Pine makes a major mistake, and, Denzel chews him out for it. And, so, it takes a little bit of a while, for them to get used to each other. And their chemistry's okay, not brilliant, but this movie's not really about chemistry, characters, and acting. It's about a freaking train. Going crazy, and just two guys trying to stop it. So what happens is, so they're working together for the day, but meanwhile, these two hostlers, I had to do some research to find out their occupations. Hostlers, they named Dewey, and I forget the other guy's name, but they're played by Ethan Suplee, who plays Dewey, and this guy, young actor T.J. Miller, who is pretty new. He's been in a couple of movies. His biggest role so far was the best friend Stainer, and She's Out of My League, which I didn't really like the movie that much, but I thought he was okay. He was funny enough. And then he had one scene in Get Him to the Greek, and I don't really know anything else he's been in. So they are pretty much the causes of this catastrophe, and this, especially Dewey. What they do is Dewey he jumps out of the train. And he tries to beat the train so he could flip a switch and save time so they can go to lunch early and have more time for lunch, because they're really lazy. And the train, gets faster and faster, and it beats Dewey out, and he has to try and stop it, but he misses it. So that's not good. So it's an unmanned train, basically, going, and they use the line, Rosario Dawson uses the line, you mean we have an unmanned train, the size of the Chrysler building. It's like a missile the size of a Chrysler building, right? So this is a huge train. It's really fast. And what they find out later is that it's holding chemicals, deadly chemicals. I forget the exact chemicals they're called or anything, but it's dangerous. The minute it makes impact with something done, and it's going towards a heavily populated town. And if it crashes there, then they're screwed, basically, right? Like, they're in a lot of trouble, and it will be destroyed, and people will die. So, I mentioned Rosario Dawson. She plays a character called Connie Hooper, who is the yardmaster of this company. And in my opinion, Rosario Dawson is always a pleasure. I love her. I think she's a very good actress. She's been in a lot. She was in Clerks 2, The Rundown. And one of my favorite performances was in a movie where she was, I think, like 15, maybe even younger, in this movie called Kids. It was an independent movie directed by Larry Clark, and that was her first one. She didn't have the biggest role. I think she had 2 or 3 major scenes, and she definitely stood out among all the kids in the movie. And a lot of critics said that, I could see her being famous. She's famous now. Perfect. And so I think she's always a pleasure, and she's really good here. You can see that she knows she's in trouble, right? And she's not just upset about the fact that she might lose her job over this, but she's upset that people could die from this, right? She's not just caring about herself and her job. She's caring about other people too, and they don't really mention that in the movie, but that's what I felt from her performance, that she's scared for this town, and she has this dumbass VP named Oscar Galvin, played by Kevin Dunn, who you may have seen as Shia LaBeouf's father in the Transformers movies. And he's like just a jerk off, really, and he has this really terrible idea which totally fails. I might get into that later, but you know, you can see that she is really fearing, and so it's about that. And so it goes off like a lot of attempts to stop it, really, and there's a and what the trailers show is that it's heading towards a bunch of school children on a field trip, right? It's heading there for for the most of the start of the movie, and then they stop it, and then they focus on the populated town. So it's not really about the kids, which I was happy about, right? I didn't want to see like a whole movie just about, you know, kids like in danger, right? You know, I preferred the whole town population, the populated town in danger than the kids. So yeah, that worked, and so they try to stop it. It doesn't work out, and pretty soon it starts heading towards Denzel Washington and Chris Pine, and they end up getting away from it, and that's when Denzel wants to go back, go back and stop the train, and then for like I think the last 45, no, I'm exaggerating, like maybe 20-30 minutes, it's them trying to stop it, and so I guess like I pretty much explained the storyline, and oh, I forgot to mention Ethan Suplee, who I think is a very underrated actor. I think one of his most underrated works was in a movie called American History X, which was definitely overshadowed by a dynamite performance by Edward Norton. And you know, I think he was very good. He played a racist in it, a white supremacist, and you could feel his hatred for anyone who wasn't white or Protestant, right? So I thought he was very good in that. And in this movie, you know, he's okay, right? Like he's nothing special, but there is one scene which I thought was brilliant. It was just a facial expression he did. Was that this guy I mentioned earlier, Oscar Galvin, the VP? He tries to do this plan, right? I won't ruin anything, but you know, he tries to, you know, like do this plan to stop it, right? Which fails terribly, right? It looks like it's gonna work, but it just fails. And after that, you know, it shows his face when they're watching it on TV, and his face, and you just see, you know, that like this is gonna be living with him for the rest of his life. You know, if something terrible happens, something did terrible happen in the plan that failed, but if something even worse happens, this will live with him forever. And you could see that he is just feeling terrible, and it's brilliant facial expression. You know, I think he's a very good actor, and that facial expression alone, like, just shows that he's a very good actor. And Denzel Washington, in my opinion, he could read a phone book, and you'll love him, right? You know, he's that charismatic. You know, he's funny when he has to be. You know, he's badass when he has to be, right? So I think he's a brilliant actor. And Chris Pine, I said, you know, he has a lot of character in him. I could see him having a career. This movie was not as good a performance as in Star Trek, but you know, he still, you know, you can see he does have a lot of character in him. You know, he loves this profession, and he definitely, I did believe him as Will Coulson, you know, this young conductor who has a bit of family problems as well. You know, I think he's very good in that. So in watching this movie, of course I compared it to The Taking of Pelham 123, Tony Scott, and Tony Scott's last movie, which also collaborated with Denzel Washington and was about trains. I personally like Taking of Pelham 123. You know, a lot of people didn't like it, and I could see why people might not like it. There was a lot of flaws, but I had a lot of fun watching it. And it is one of those movies, you know, that you just, as long as you have fun, you'll enjoy it. Same with this one, Unstoppable. You know, it's fun, so I liked it, but you know, Tony Scott made a lot of mistakes in Pelham 123. You know, like he did way too many car crashes with cop cars. It's unnecessary car crashes. One of them was necessary, but like a lot of unnecessary ones. This one, I think he does only 2 car crashes, right? But you know, they both fit. So that was a big improvement for him there. And you know, yeah, you know, like I had to come. Of course, it's unfair because you know they are kind of different storylines, right? It just happens to be 3 things in common: Denzel, Tony Scott, and a train. So I hate to compare it to that, but I ended up comparing it throughout the movie. So my final verdict is, you know, if you're looking for a fun movie, fast-paced, intense stuff, you know, like I was at times on the edge of my seat. And if you're looking for just a pretty much a fun time at the movies, then you'll have it with Unstoppable. But if you want story, then like tons of story, only story, you're not gonna get it here. But if just for a fun time, and it's Denzel Washington. I mean, come on, right? And just an interesting movie, fun time. Not a masterpiece. I would not tell, like, it's worth a rental, really. If you're looking for pay-per-view and it's on, give it a try. But don't rush out of the theaters and don't buy it when it comes out. Like, it's not that good of a movie, but it is a fun movie and interesting, and I liked it. So that's my review of Unstoppable. Hope you liked it. And, leave some comments. Say whether you disagree with me, agree with me. Please don't be too hard on me. And just whether you agree with what I said, whether you think I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm talking about. Like I said, please don't be hard on me. But I respect your opinions. And thanks a lot, guys. I'm out.